It's a very humbling experience to go from being fully independent to having to ask for help for even the most minute of things. It's not my favorite. I feel kind of gaslit, if I'm being honest. Well, I attempted to log in the car earlier, but it wasn't really being cooperative, and I don't feel the best. I won't lie. I'm more sore than I'd prefer, but I'm doing okay. I've been walking a little. Not well. Not quickly. More like tortoise in the hair, but I'm trying to walk a little. Day 1. Well, hello, friends. It is Wednesday, so one day post hernia surgery, and I'm doing okay. I'm relatively sore today, and I haven't been able to do a whole lot. It kind of hurts to do most anything, so I've been laying around a lot. I'm currently in our guest bedroom. You might remember from when I used to work out in here when I first started making like fitness YouTube content. So I used to work out like right over there. You can't see, but over there. That's where I used to film videos and stuff. And then that was my like side area upstairs days. But yeah, so I'm more sore than I'd hoped to be. I'll be honest. I was hoping to be able to be a little more active today, but I am only one day out of surgery, so I guess I need to cut myself some slack. Friends, it's day 3. Look who's out walking the neighborhood. Look at me go. Not fast by any means, but certainly faster than I was a few days ago. I was walking at like a snail's pace. I'm slightly faster than a snail. Not significantly though. The sun is very bright, so that's why I'm like not really looking at you. I should have worn a hat or something. But yeah, so day 3 of recovery. Feeling much more myself today. Still pretty like bloated and like swollen. But overall, I would say I'm certainly improving. Much more myself today. I feel obviously up to walking. Not fast, but just trying to make some strides. Got my little YouTube shirt on. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. So yeah, just checking in for the day. Still a little sore, but I was able to back down from my like major pain meds to my to like ibuprofen instead, which is nice. So certainly headed in the right direction. So yeah, that's where we are today. What we're doing. I'm hoping to be able to start doing some like serious walking here not too long from now, but I'm not gonna rush it. I'm not gonna push it. So yeah, how are you guys today? Today is a beautiful day outside, so if you can, go outside, get some fresh air. Although I guess you don't live where I live necessarily, so it's beautiful here anyway. But get some fresh air. It's good for you. All right, friends. Take care. Well, hello, friends. Day 4. My dad and I are on a walk. Want to say hi? I didn't prepare him for the fact that I was filming. So, it's Friday. We're on a walk. About the same as yesterday, I would say, for now. It's a very humbling experience to go from being fully independent to having to ask for help for even the most minute of things. It's not my favorite. But going on a walk. Slow but steady, I suppose. Yeah, it's got some company today. My dad. So, alright. I'm gonna go enjoy our nature walk now. Well, friends, I've reached a new milestone. I put on real clothes, but I'm still very bloated and swollen, so I'm wearing a jumpsuit, aka the equivalent of sweatpants that are appropriate for going places. But my son really wants me to go on our like weekly date out to dinner, and I don't feel great, but I also don't feel terrible, so I'm gonna go. And I got dressed, sort of. I kind of look terrible, but it's fine. Yeah, I don't think I ever actually really told you the story because I intended to tell you the story of what happened, but I really didn't get a chance to. So, the long story short, I was supposed to go in for surgery. My surgery was originally scheduled for 11:30 in the morning, and so the plan was for me to get up and, just fast and, just do the thing, get my kid at school, and then, drive to my appointment. But I got a call at 6 a.m. that they were like looking for me. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, well, what time did they tell you to get here for your surgery? And I'm like, 11:30 a.m. And like, I'm thinking like, oh, well, she's going to say like, hey, we got an opening. But no, apparently they had moved my surgery altogether and didn't tell me. I love that for me. So basically, like, we worked it out. My parents were here helping out. And so basically my mom and I just rushed to the hospital that I had the procedure at, and then they got me checked in like shortly thereafter. So ultimately, I think my procedure started around like 8:30 or so, instead of the 11:30, which is truly, it was better. But as I've mentioned, I don't do great with needles, and that was kind of stressful. She like blew out a vein and like just various like snafus, but all in all, it went pretty okay. And then of course you saw the aftermath. But yeah. So it was a pretty crazy like whirlwind of a day on Tuesday, and did not go as I planned. My husband's like, only this would happen to you. I'm sure that's not true, but it does sometimes feel that way. So anyway, as I said, today is Thursday, another walk. I think I actually need to be walking more than I am, but it's just weird like trying to strike a balance between like moving enough but not getting to hurting. I've mostly weaned off my pain medicine, like the good stuff. I've been taking ibuprofen and the muscle relaxers still, but I'm pretty much done with all the other stuff. But it took me longer than it should have to get dressed. So I'm going to jump off for now, and I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow, maybe later tonight, depending on how I'm feeling. Thank you all again for so many kind words. I really do appreciate it. And it seems like you guys are also loving the C. Dorner video, which I'm so glad that sort of worked out timing wise, with things not going the way they were originally intended to go. That video kind of like timing fell into my lap. So that must have been like a God timing thing. So yeah, looking forward to editing some more videos for you guys soon, and I'll talk to you later. Well, friends, I ultimately did decide to go for a walk this evening. It's a really brisk evening. This weather has been like really super weird because it was like super hot yesterday. And today, now it's like chilly. It's like 75. It's beautiful for a walk. For sort of time for like a recovery walk. But I'm finding that moving more is feeling a little better, and I'm actually able to walk at a pace that doesn't feel quite so slow. Now I'm actually walking at like, not fast, but I can like walk at my normal pace. Which I would say this is the first day I've been able to do that. Yesterday I was still walking pretty slowly, but like I was telling you earlier, morning is definitely the hardest once I've laid down for, all night or whatever. When I wake up, I'm super stiff. Kind of hate that. I feel kind of gaslit, if I'm being honest. And that's the one thing I would say if you're about to have this. I feel a little bit gaslit. I don't necessarily think they did on purpose, but I feel a little bit gaslit about how I would feel like recovery wise, because I guess like in my head, like I had surgery on Tuesday. I'm like, certainly by Thursday or Friday, I'll be feeling much, much better. And that was not really as true as I had hoped it would be. And so then I get in my head and I'm like, well, I must just not be getting better fast enough, right? Like we do that to ourselves, and then we start gaslighting ourselves that we're just not getting better fast enough. And so, it's one of those things. It's one of them things. But I say all that to say that I need to do a better job of practicing giving myself grace in terms of my recovery. And I encourage you to do the same if you're going through a surgery, because it's easy to get in our head and decide that we're not healing fast enough. I'm not patient by nature. This is clearly God's way of helping me to practice more patience. But we are improving. So I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my walk now. And I will, in fact, talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, so first we'll chat about what I did to start for recovery. So some of this, you'll see a video on my caffeine wean, probably not this week, but here in the next week or two. But I did decide to wean off of caffeine, partly to just sort of like reset my body for caffeine, but also knowing that I was going to have to be off caffeine the day of surgery, because I thought originally I was going to have to not have caffeine for several hours, and I was worried I would have a caffeine headache. I mean, to me, they changed my surgery time, as we talked about earlier this week, and my surgery turned out to be like early in the morning instead. So basically that was a waste of time, but it has been nice to, play with caffeine levels and sort of give my body a little bit of a reset. So for what that's worth, but more to come on that and that process and what I did. But I maintained all of my strength training. As you know, if you watch the channel at all, you know that I regularly test fitness programs. So I still continue to do some fitness testing, and I, of course, did my usual, strength training workouts. So got a couple of videos coming up in terms of workouts. So a lot of my workout stuff didn't change because of what went down with my strength training program. I'll get into that again later, but just watch those videos. It's easier than explaining it now. But I pivoted to Play from Caroline Germain app for the past couple of weeks, which, spoiler alert, loved, giving me all the epic vibes in the best way. Absolutely loved it. And we'll definitely come back to finish it at some point. But so that was primarily what I did up until just kind of maintain my strength training and continued my workouts, as well as just made sure that my nutrition was relatively in order. And then this past sort of week, what I've done, so this week has been, a little bit different than I had expected. So I feel like from a preparing standpoint, the one thing I wish I had done is actually watched and did a little more research about the recovery. I think I said yesterday, I kind of felt gaslit about how much effort and energy I would have over this last couple of days. They call it minor surgery, they use a robot, but it's still surgery, especially when you're talking about abdominal stuff. And so it's been significantly harder to do and get around than I expected. And I think, if you're watching this video, you're probably more prepared than I was because you see what it's like. And I wish I had done a little more of my research on that to see what it's like beforehand. The other thing that I had kind of just, again, sort of wish I'd known is all of the stuff prep wise would have looked like, but that wasn't really something I could prep for because that was sort of sudden and unknown. But I feel like I'm in a good spot, feeling much more myself. If you're about to undergo surgery, hernia surgery, really, or surgery otherwise, try to do as much of within your allowance of the things that you can. At least from my perspective, that was really helpful. Don't kind of quit unless you're sort of told hey, don't do that. Because a lot of the research says especially if you have a hernia, it's very difficult to make it worse, which is really interesting to me because I would think that would be something you could make worse, but apparently there's a pretty big misconception about that it's actually kind of difficult to make a hernia worse before you have the repair, that is. And then with some time, you can return to your normal activities, once the mesh and stuff have been replaced. Oh my gosh, these are so cute. My neighbors have these cute little shrubbery dogs, I think. Let me show you. Look how cute. Anyway, so if I had to do that again, that's kind of where I would land on that. And then my plan moving forward, and you'll kind of see it as we go, is to continue walking as much as possible. My goal is to hit, I don't know yet, truthfully. I want to tell you I have a goal for steps, but my goal is to probably meet or exceed 10,000 steps a day. I need to kind of map that out from a time standpoint. A fair amount will probably have to be on my walking pad so I can get edited stuff for you guys, but I'm really very much enjoying these walks in nature, listening to my worship music, just looking at the flowers and hearing the birds, and, just enjoying the sunshine. I think it's been really good for me. So my goal is to get as many steps in as possible. We'll sort of track that over the week. And then based on what the doctor says tomorrow, which will be in the next video, will dictate my other plans as far as lifting, etc. So I also plan to really just dial it in on nutrition. This week I've not really had a ton of an appetite, and what I have had an appetite for has largely been carbs. I think that's a energy level recovery thing, because I feel like anytime I'm really sick or, dealing with illness and stuff, I find myself gravitating toward more carbs. And I think, I don't have proof of this, but my thought is, based on what I know, is that I think it's largely because my body craves carbs for energy. So I haven't had my full appetite, and getting my protein intake has been kind of hard. But as of this morning and today, I've really tried to dial it in significantly more from a protein and just an overall health standpoint. I haven't reintroduced alcohol yet, which probably a good thing. I actually think that's helped my energy as well in sort of, in my recovery. And I might on Friday reintroduce it, but I'm really not in a super big hurry to, That's the other thing that I did pre-surgery, is I gave myself a detox window, because they said 24 hours, but I gave myself a couple of days just from a preparation standpoint, they said like supplements and alcohol for like not things you shouldn't do, like right up to surgery. So, but yeah, so I think that's going to do it for this week's vlog. And I'll catch you tomorrow as we go to my doctor's appointment and see what they say. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you want to know more about my workouts or, you know, any of the other challenges I've done recently, then click here. And then if you want to talk a little bit more about some of the, you know, weight loss, healthy living, body recomp stuff, because it's summer and I feel like that's on a lot of people's mind right now. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying I know that's on people's mind. Then I'll leave these videos for you. So see you in the next one. Bye, guys.